right, welcome everybody. This is the LTS Wrestling Podcast. We've got the full crew in the house today. How's it going, gentlemen?
So
Doing good.
Going good.
All right.
Let's get it.
So we got people represented from all over again, and today we're actually doing a recap for this past Saturday's event, specifically NXT Vengeance and AEW Grand Slam Australia. So first thing first, we're going to do a quick rundown on the results for NXT Vengeance. Specifically here, we had a new champ crown for the women's North American title, which happens to be Stephanie Baker. We also had the tag team match for which Fraxium retained. And we had an upset, Thorpe beating Trick Williams in that strap match. Also had another match with Ethan Page defeating Javon Evans. The men's world title match between Obafemi and Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. So that resulted with Obafemi winning, retaining his title. And then the ending where we had the four women participating in the main event for the NXT women's title between Julia, Bailey, Cora Jade, and Roxanne Perez, with the ending of Julia retaining her title as well. And a couple of surprises, and we'll actually touch on this. We had like a new faction kind of introduce themselves throughout the PLE, and Miss Jordan Grace arriving at the very end of the women's title match. So, gentlemen, we got a lot to cover here. Some of the things that stood out to you guys, thoughts, feel free to chime in here.
Okay, so the new Shield.
Go ahead, Jasper.
Yeah. I just want to say, like, big time the new Shield. Those guys, man, they look ruthless already. So that's what stood out to me. Like, yeah,
it's interesting you threw out their new Shield. I don't know if anybody else gets like kind of like the Retribution vibes as well, or even like Nexus vibes, because some of these faces, I'll be honest, I haven't even like done my research to see who these guys are, because they really are like not named on television yet. But like that's the kind of vibes I'm getting on my end. What, anyone else?
Yeah. So when I was watching Vengeance, and I seen, because they came out twice last night, right?
Yeah.
So when I was watching them, that's exactly what I thought. I thought, oh, right, this kind of has a Shield and a Nexus kind of vibe to it, especially like, they're coming down with the face mask. That's a Shield, but just the way that like they come in and they attack, it's more NXT Nexus style. Excuse me. But I was thinking to myself, and I was talking to Jay earlier about this. I think these are the LFG guys. So one thing I had noticed, because I was watching a couple of trailers for the LFG show, and I noticed that they were filming during WrestleMania 39. So the filming has been going way back. It's been a couple of years. Okay. So I'm wondering if this is the LFG guys, and they're going to keep them coming out like this, no name, not saying who they are yet, because they want to build up the LFG show first so that we can get more familiar with who they are and then make a statement with them, at a certain point.
No, I actually didn't notice that, so that's a good point there. Jay?
Hey, go ahead, Jay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna jump off you. Like, I think Jay was the one that even said how heavy the NXT ladies division is, right? And the men's was a little weaker. Was at the last show, right? So I'll just be told to translate to Jay, man. Like, yeah, so here they are introducing some guys to get on the radar now, right? They got to build that side of the roster. We'll see. We'll see if they make make a big impact. They already have. Like, it's because they usually, these type of people show up once in one match, but like y'all said, they were all over this PLE.
Right. I kind of want to piggyback off of that real quick, just because if you do recall, like when they actually came out to kind of make themselves known, they went after like the champions, right? So they went after the tag champions, although they, I think, can't remember their names off the top of my head, like the Fraxium's opponents as well. So they went after 4 of them, and then they went after Obafemi, out of all people. So this is like, man, what a way to make a statement, right? Going after like the top guys in the NXT division right now. So that's another thing that stood out to me.
Yeah, I think there's some intrigue there. They did 2 run-ins. I kind of agree with you, JoJo. It feels like a retribution kind of thing. So the intrigue is there, where they go, who these people are. I do love Nick's point that they say it could be LFG. Remember, LFG is the debut episode's gonna be today, which I'm excited to kind of watch, because I love that behind the scenes look into the NXT. You're gonna get it. Plus, I just love the coaches they picked, which is Undertaker, Booker T, the Bubba Ray or Bully Ray, whatever he's calling it, and Mickey James. These are like legends. These guys. It should be entertaining. Back on topic is that these guys, whoever they are, they're probably going to be pushed to the main event scene because they interrupted, like you said, Obafemi, and they had the other one with the tag match. So they're causing a lot of chaos. We have Ricky Starks coming in. So I like where NXT is developing their men's side. We know the women's side is deep.
They're stacked.
It really is. So it's interesting where these guys are going to do. I'll tune in.
And we don't even know if his name is Ricky Starks anymore, right? Because like we were talking about earlier, he's not mentioning his name at all.
I think I think they did list his name on the roster page as Ricky Starks, but to that point,
okay,
I don't know if it has anything to do with merchandise or just how they're going to present him moving forward, just because I know Ricky has trademarked his name, so clearly he's going to be entitled to any type of royalties for like merchandise and anything such as going forward, right? But yeah, like it's crazy because NXT there is a lot of things happening, and you know, Jay talked about this the last time, how that the men's division specifically is very lean as opposed to the women's. So to see some of these little additions to the men's NXT roster, it does give kind of like a boost and like a different vibe, a different feel, and it's created intrigue for me. Outside of that part though, like anything else, like how do you guys feel about like the title matches for that matter?
I'll jump into some of the things that I saw at this, like what NXT is kind of doing here. You like Trick Williams showing some aggression. You like that, hey, if you're going to go in the main roster, you need to be able to adapt. Do you have a darker side? Do you have, can you go harder? And he actually, I saw him like he was whooping that Trick. Like he was using that strap match. Like he was whooping that guy. I think both people got elevated there. It's good that the right person won, because I thought Trick was going to take I didn't think Trick was going to take the L, right? The Trick took the L. This Thorpe guy gets elevated. They have a nice little rivalry coming there. You're going to keep me interested. And again, Trick working a more ruthless style works for that. I think it shows some range by him.
Yeah, and I think, with that match specifically, the implications for like how people get elevated, I don't think it does much to Trick's stock here, because it was a strap match for that matter. I think for me personally, when you see some of these top guys take L's in like a regular one-on-one match, there's a little bit of those like, where are they going with this? Does his stock go down? I don't think Trick Williams took a L here in terms of his stock. But to your point, right. Evan Thorpe, being like somebody that needs the push and to be kind of elevated. Yeah. Having a win over Trick, whether or not it was like a strap match, it does make him a little bit more relevant in that sense. And I do also like your point too, but him showing that other side of like aggression. We want to see a little bit more range develop with a lot of these people, especially in NXT. It is the development brand. So to see things like this happen with Trick, I'll even kind of throw in there like Roxanne Perez. As a champion, she was pretty much brought in as a baby face, and like to show her range as a heel, I thought it just made her a better overall performer. So it kind of prepares them to make that transition. Whether or not they have to go heel or baby face for that matter, it does show the range that they're able to adapt to.
And piggybacking on that, Roxanne Perez, honestly, when I watched that match, I felt like Roxanne was a standout. Even though she didn't win, she was a standout for that match. Like when she was there when she needed to be, like in her spots and everything, bro, she performed that. Yeah. I'm telling you, bro, Roxanne is she's gonna be big when she goes to the main roster. I think she's gonna be big. She's gonna be one of those top stars in the women's division. Bro, she's a really good heel. I remember when she was a baby face. I like her better as a heel. And she's got it, bro. I'll be honest. I feel like she's got it. That championship match, there was quite a bit of oopsies, and there was some mess ups. Mainly that one where Julia was trying to do that lock on Bailey, and she slipped off, and then they had to run it back. And there was a couple of other spots where there was mishaps, but for the most part, that last match, the championship match between the women, was pretty good. But like I said, I think Roxanne, she was a standout in that match.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. Like she's like main event. Oh, I'm sorry, not main event specifically, but main roster bound. They put so much trust in her. Like her performance at the Royal Rumble is clearly one of the big things of this year for her. I will also say the fact that I think she's being considered for Elimination Chamber. Somebody mentioned that like off the podcast, right?
Yeah, so, she has a qualifying match against Raquel.
Yeah.
So she's got a rocket strapped to her back. So she probably goes over Raquel on Monday. Is it SmackDown or Monday night? Whatever it is, it's they're gonna put her in that Elimination Chamber. I think so. I mean, Raquel, I think she's a talent also, but right now she's Liv's homegirl. That's what her role is right now, and you need to give Roxanne some sort of she's got a built-in story now. She's a last girl. She was the one Charlotte eliminated last, right, in the Royal Rumble, and now she wins Elimination Chamber. She's got some sort of leg to stand on when she goes to main roster, because what we don't want to happen to Roxanne is she's in the main roster. She's going to get lost in the shuffle. There's no story for her. This girl has shown you heel, face. She's worked all styles. She's there's something there.
Right. Yeah, and I think, Booker T is clearly like her biggest backer, I would say, when it comes to her transition from the indies to WWE. And I personally kind of see a little bit of how should I say this, kind of like a mix between AJ Lee and Alexa Bliss for Roxanne, and just kind of like the name and the star power they brought when they transitioned as well from NXT to the main roster is kind of what I see with Roxanne. And who knows, she might even be better. I don't want to guarantee that, but she's the prodigy, right? That's that's the moniker she goes off of, the prodigy. Yep. And she is so young, and clearly the future is bright. I don't want to sound so cliche, but yeah, she's got so much, and she has barely hit her peak. So to see kind of all the achievements,
I can dig that, sucker.
sucker.
Yeah, so high praise for Roxanne on my end, and I think even going into also that main event, I want to give Cora Jade her flowers. The girl has dealt with a lot of setbacks, specifically her injuries, and to come into this match, kind of being the one that nobody expected to be as far as the standout. For what she brought to this match, I thought she did very well. You're going up against a veteran like Bailey. You got Julia, who's clearly the champ, and she's so established overseas, and of course Roxanne, like we just pretty much praised her, so to go up against those three women and try your best to stand out, I think she did a great job there, and kudos to her.
Jump in really fast.
Yeah.
With that match is the right person got pinned. The right person got pinned. It had to be Roxanne that took the L. Why? You have to establish Julia. By the way,
yeah,
any match Julia's in is automatically A+ for me. She can just walk into the ring and I'm okay with that. She's great. I mean, she can just breathe and she's fine. That banger. So no, in all seriousness, the right person went over there. And I mean, the right person got pinned. It had to be Roxanne because she's ushering in Julia's new era. Bayley being there. Bayley, as we know, she's probably the Ric Flair of women's division. What do I mean by that? She sells like nobody else. That woman knows how to sell people's moves. She knows how to make people look good. She's great at that. Cora Jade now. Oh, she showed out. That girl showed out. Like, if you had any doubt about this girl, she showed you something in that match. She had a chance to get lost in the shuffle, like you said, JoJo. And no, she said, nah, I'm going to go and shine. And she's in a main event with a new face of NXT, which is Julia. A nice one, by the way. And Roxanne, the vet. Roxanne, the one who has to, pass the throne, right? And Bayley, the ultimate worker.
The GOAT.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
She's a GOAT.
What do you think about that?
Bayley is the only one that I'm really familiar with outside of getting introduced to like the Julias through Cuzzo right here, and then now tuning back in, I get introduced to the Roxanne Perez's, and I'm like, I'm trying to see, do they even live up to their name? And that Roxanne does, and the Cora Jade, how she came out in this storyline, I was like first I thought it was a 3, right, and then she busted out. Added herself with the little kendo stick and said, all right, I'm gonna go for this. You know what I mean? And then watching what I got to recap on, she did like show herself to me, Cora Jade. I was just like, what? I was like, so you are here. You are present. And I understand why they are pushing the beautiful madness. That is just something gorgeous to be a part of. This chaos needs to be pushed. Okay,
so real to me, damn it.
For real, dude. Oh, knees to the face, twirling body slams. Wow. Like, come on, a lady, dude, come on. So, and then Bayley, of course, the one I'm familiar with the most. So, and it's pretty cool to see her. And I guess these two used to be fans, right? The Roxanne Perez's and the Coras, and now they're wrestling. That's pretty cool too. But yeah, I'm glad they're introducing themselves and letting their presence be known. Like, pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see just how it's generational, right? Like some of these people that were actually competing each other started at different times, and it's I think they kind of threw some of those vignettes and I guess photos online where they show Roxanne and Bayley back in the day. Roxanne was still kind of a fan or early stages of her pro wrestling career, and Bayley was still with her first gimmick, right? The Bayley hugger thing. So long-term storytelling, interesting enough, right? We got that kind of integrated into the current storyline and how that plays a factor into why they had this feud, or one being elevated because they were a fan, but now they're trying to take that spot from them, so I love all the things that they're kind of integrating into this, and it just makes NXT as a whole feel so good, and in terms of engaging their fan base and making sure it's a watch right now, and that's just one part of it too, there's the other components of NXT where I personally think the tag team division, I want to kind of jump into this here. I think recently the Wrestling Observer, I think one of those dirt sheets kind of threw out some awards, and they named, I think, the Young Bucks Tag Team of the Year or something like that. And I thought that was kind of an insult, just because, to me, Fraxium, like many people may not know about Nathan Frazier and Axiom. These two guys have been like killing it over the past year as NXT Tag Champs. And like they're like, to say that their matches haven't been bangers is it's an understatement. Like they've also gone on TNA, to have matches with some of the like tag teams in that division. Like, it's kind of wild to me that they don't get the respect that they should be given. Because Nathan Frazier, in my opinion, I feel like he has capabilities of actually being a great single star going forward, and at the same time, you got Axiom. This dude can perform, he can perform. And at the end of the day, I think the tag team division right now in NXT is definitely working its way up. But at the same time, I do want to see a little bit more of the tag team division, just in WWE in general, elevated for that matter. I like the fact that they are integrating some of these tag matches like on different brands. They kind of like have Fraxium like go to TNA here. So in my opinion, like they should be getting their respect as well, because those two guys, they're workhorses for the tag team division, in my opinion. But outside of that part of it too, there was also the other matches. Anything you guys probably have regarding like Stephanie Vacker's win? How about the Javon Evans, Ethan Page match?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, there's a lot to say, and I don't want to ramble on, but I will say that the Stephanie Vacker match was a good match. That was a good starting match. That was a perfect way to kick off the pay-per-view. What is that match? The Evans?
Yeah, Javon
Page,
Evans.
the one that Page. Yeah, Devon, bro. Yeah, he's good. I like him. He came out hot right out the gate. That was a great ending to the match. One of my favorite matches of the night had to be Fraxium. Fraxium was that was a spot fest. That tag team match was a spot fest. It didn't have to be, but man, like you were saying, they're workhorses, right, bro? And that was a great match. And Oba Femi versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I gotta give credit where credit is due. Grayson Waller and Austin, especially Austin Theory, bro, they've come a long way since being, since Austin Theory was dubbed the golden child by Vince. Mm-hmm. I feel like Austin Theory has really like come into his own. He's really helping push the stories now, and the narrative leading up to this match with those three. I thought the story was told really well, and the story told throughout the match was really good. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Kept me in my seat, kept me watching. You know what I mean? It's just slowly watching Austin Theory and Grayson Waller like come to a clash with each other. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning, kind of giving that fake out, but slowly but surely you see them like kind of like not really agreeing with each other. Mm-hmm. And Oba Femi, of course, bro, fucking the biggest meat bag inside NXT. You know what I mean? Bro, I love this guy, bro. I love this guy. And like I always tell people, yeah. So like he reminds me of what is that? What is that one character from Black Panther?
Yeah, the Gorilla King. The Gorilla King.
Yeah.
The guy that helped
yes.
Umbaku.
I knew what you were talking about. I just didn't know. I couldn't think of the name. Yeah,
Umbaku. Yeah, bro. I tell everybody that's my favorite character in the Black Panther movie, and that's what he reminds me of. So I was like, bro, I'm kind of biased, but bro, I love his character, and that was a good win for him. And yeah, that was. I really enjoyed this pay-per-view or premium live event.
I kind of want to add on to this part here real quick. The match for Oba Femi and the Grayson Waller Theory. So clearly we're seeing the development of the split here between Austin and Grayson, right? And I think this kind of also has some long-term storytelling, because they've been foreshadowing a little bit of a betrayal between the two, but who's gonna do it to who? And I thought this was I honestly didn't see this being part of the angle here, having them go to NXT and compete, and then have like a little bit more dissension created here because Grayson clearly did hit his finisher on Austin. But now I am curious to see, like, is this gonna transpire into like a Mania feud? Who knows? I think it will, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, like this right here, like, you know, I think the match was overall great for all of the people involved. Oba obviously established himself more of a dominant force because he had to face two guys that were clearly friends and almost like the odds were stacked against them, kind of thing. But yeah, like you said, man, Oba. I'm just waiting for this whole like Oba versus Moose thing, and for people that know Moose from TNA, it's like these two guys to me like are like two similar dudes that I feel like need to clash at some point. Like have them cross over and just make Moose Oba just create a banger. You know what I mean? I don't care who wins. To be honest, like these two guys will just elevate each other, in my opinion.
I'm gonna make some points here before. Unfortunately, I gotta go sign off after these points. Okay, so I'm gonna like run through a little bit, and then I'm gonna hit you with a little bit of AEW towards the end. But okay, going back to Austin Theory. Okay, I'm kind of partial to him. Like I like him. Why? That is Vince's last pick. And for anybody who doubts Vince's picks, Vince finds stars. Vince saw something in Austin Theory that he liked and said, you know what? We're going to make you a Money in the Bank winner. And he was getting pushed like crazy. He had a match over John Cena in WrestleMania. Remember, John Cena jobbed to this guy or took the L to Austin Theory in the biggest show. So I feel like he got lost in the shuffle. And especially with this A-Town Down Under, he needs to ditch it. Let Waller shine because Waller has a great mouthpiece and he's going to be okay. But Austin Theory on his own, he got something there. This guy was a hand-picked Vince guy. Vince just doesn't pick these guys because he's like for fun. He can say, hey, I can make money off you. There's something here. So I do like that Austin Theory needs to go break from A-Town Down Under. Obafemi, obviously, we know he's the ruler. It's fitting, his name. He's going to rule NXT for a minute. Good luck, because he's in that main event scene, and you have to be super credible to beat this guy. You have to present yourself like you're somebody, because, you know, you have to make me believe you can beat him.
Yeah.
Right? And he's booked so strong. Wonderful job with Obafemi, what they're doing. Stephanie Vaquer, props that Corey Graves did note that she is the first South American champion of WWE, right? So she's presented as a big deal. When you are tasked with the opening match, that means you got to put on a banger. You're supposed to get the fans like excited. You're the first match you want. You set the tone of the whole PLE. He tasked her with that job. Her opponent, what was her name again? I apologize.
Fallon
Henley. She did great.
Yeah.
Like they both elevated each other. I think it was such a good job. They need to run that back. Is there something there?
Yeah.
That was such a high-spirited match, good spots, and obviously the right woman had to go over, but you should run that back a little bit because they had a banger. That was one of the bangers. Traxium, you guys already hit on that. Nothing much to say about that. I'm surprised, though, that as good as their opponents were, because they were brutes, they still went over them. So you're kind of telling WWE Universe, these ain't the ones, right? Okay, fine. But they got something there also. And it was probably one of the best matches in the night. And we cannot talk about Vengeance without Jordan Grace. I mean, this girl, they came out, she presented her as a big deal. She looked at the champions eye to eye, and by her making her appearance at the end, it is signalizing that she's in the main event scene. Like, if you're a woman in the NXT division, good luck. Because
Watch
this
out.
girl, if she's booked strong, if she's booked strong, she's got the fans backing her. She's got the size. She's got the strength. I mean, she's gonna be wearing gold. Now, is it gonna be Julia's? Hopefully not. Or is it gonna be Stephanie Bakier's gold? Right. So
I don't know about that.
right, but Jordan Grace is here. I like the fact that, hey, we're gonna put you in NXT. We're gonna work that program a little bit. You know, I need her to get back. I need her to get back one on Roxanne. Come on, get L on her, Roxanne. You know, because Roxanne beat her.
Yeah.
So I would like that to happen. And then last thing I want to say is I did watch all of AEW's Australia event, and I was telling JoJo, "Hey man, it's packed." And then he goes, "They have to go to a smaller venue." And I was like, "Oh," I thought it was packed. I was like, "Well, okay, what am I doing?" I try to look at it objectively, not be a WWE fan, right?
They bait and switched us.
Right. So it looked like it was packed. I'm like, oh,
No,
man,
it was a hot crowd though.
saying,
It was a hot crowd though.
yeah.
Nonetheless,
it was a hot crowd. So what I saw there, again, Ospreay, Kenny Omega tasked with the first match. Great match. These guys, whether you like WWE, you like AEW, you cannot deny when somebody is just athletically gifted as Ospreay.
Absolutely, 100.
The kind of moves he is doing, it made me go, whoa, okay, this guy, I need to catch this guy. This is something I need to watch. You know, I haven't been able to see AEW's top stars. This is the first time in a while that I've seen their top stars performing. Kenny Omega, still doing his thing.
Yeah.
But him and Ospreay, and their opponents too. Their opponent, it was such a good match.
Yeah. Fletcher.
What was that?
Fletcher and Takeshita.
Yeah, they did this move like I ain't never seen a tombstone drop. Like
Yeah.
that was cool. It's like tombstone pile driver, but they didn't do the pile driver. They just dropped them like what's AJ Styles Clash, right?
The Styles Clash, yeah.
A version of Styles Clash. So it was kind of cool, and just the spots were good. And when you see Ospreay doing his spots, though, it's like extra spicy. There's like some flair to it. Like when he's jumping off the ring, my wife, she was saying, "Oh man, these guys are like Cirque du Soleil," and I was like, and again, she doesn't watch.
Yeah.
She just saw these performers. Like she was kind of intrigued. She said, "This isn't WWE," and she kind of saw that, and she kind of liked what she saw. So as far as AEW has a lot of talent, and Ospreay, he's amazing. Yeah, I props to that man. I've always liked him, but after seeing this match with Kenny Omega, I kind of want to see. I might have to tune into AEW. Now the rest of the show, I want to see Ospreay. I'll see Kenny Omega and Ospreay. The rest of the show, Australia went over. That was good, but I do want to see Ospreay more. They got something with Ospreay. They got something with Kenny.
Yeah. Well, you guys tune in.
And, yeah. So I'll try to catch them. Gentlemen, I wish I could stay longer.
You good? No worries.
Long-term storytelling. Thank you for letting me rant here a little bit. I appreciate you guys.
Until the next one.
Yeah. It's still real to me, dog.
Real wrestling fans know.
Yes, exactly. I it is the thing where Jay kind of touched on for AEW, and I guess this is like a good transition here. But actually, before we transition to AEW, I do kind of want to touch on like the whole Jordan Grace, NXT. So here we had Jordan Grace clearly show up at the very end of the PLE, and she shows up specifically where you had Julia and Stephanie Becker holding up their respective titles, and comes in, pretty much puts them on notice, So it is interesting to see, like, okay, you got two different women's champions there. Who's she gonna go after first? I would honestly say, like, maybe transition her way towards the world title, but Jay did throw out there the whole I'm sorry, not Julia, but Roxanne Perez. Those two, I wouldn't be surprised if they run it back as like her first feud to kind of like get her into the whole mix. At the same time, like, they had a hell of a match back then. I forgot which specific show they were on, but they, like, came in as respective champions for each company at that time, with Roxanne, winning that match. So it'll be interesting to see. Like, and I think clearly Jordan should be able to, take that match if they do revisit it. But yeah, like Jordan Grace, in my opinion, like we were kind of like saying how like the NXT women's division is already stacked. Like it's probably one of the better women's divisions in pro wrestling. So to have Jordan Grace kind of added to this, it's just like we just gave Incredible Hulk steroids here. Like it's insane. We just bolstered this division. And I hate to say, but to me, it is probably the most intriguing, the most diverse women's division, and probably the best women's division in pro wrestling. That's just how I look at it. Because they're international. We got up-and-comers. We got veterans established, whether they were in the company or not. It's like, what more can you ask for? It's such a great time to be a wrestling fan of women's pro wrestling. If I want to be very, and clearly my cousin is a big fan of the women's division, NXT, and specifically Sol Ruka here.
Yes. You saw what she was wearing, so I said, "Say less. I got you. I'm showing up on camp today. I got you. You don't have to tell me anymore. There you go. So I really, you got it."
More to your point with Jordan Grace. Yeah, you know what? I think her running it with Roxanne as a first feud would be a good one. And let's not just do a one-off, bro. Let's do a 3-match series.
Sure.
Maybe have Roxanne maybe win the first one, and then have Jordan Grace win the last two.
Okay.
So we'll just do a series, and that way it'll get Jordan Grace more integrated into NXT. It'll show. I mean, that's like the perfect person to put her against, right? To really show off her movesets and all that stuff. Plus,
okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It'll establish Jordan Grace. I mean, Jordan Grace is already established, but you know what I mean? Like, and it seems like the talent that comes over from TNA have an easier time adjusting to the WWE style because they're pretty similar. So I think that putting Jordan Grace against Roxanne would be a good one. Run a series, and then, bro, I would say just shoot her straight to the top and have her go against whoever the current women's champion is at the time.
So, kind of asking, like, sorry, Kozo, you're saying?
Oh, go ahead. Oh no, I would love, like, again, me being fairly introduced to a Roxanne Perez Iron Man. I like that. Like, I would love to see, because she's so little too, and her skill set for me. I'm like, what else can you do now? You, like you said, Hulk on steroids. Let me see what you can do versus Hulk on steroids.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even think that. Yeah. Because for that, I hate to call her a little girl. That is a grown woman. That woman, she can handle herself. Like. For me to see her versus Jordan Grace, wow, dude, that gives me, that lets my heart race for her. Like, oh, girl, because I just saw her body slam Piper. What would she do with you?
Well, exactly.
The sorry to correct you here, cousin, but like the reference for Hulk on steroids, I kind of meant it towards like the whole women's division, right? Roster. Maybe I should have used this. Maybe I should have used this analogy. Like, your energy, like we're just adding more caffeine to it. How's about that?
Yes. Oh shoot! Yes. Oh right? Yeah, you're right. Right. So she too is a Hulk within herself.
No, yeah, it's true. It's true.
I want to see her. I want to see Roxanne hit that finisher on her. Like
the pop rocks, right?
Pop rocks. Yeah. Oh, that's an amazing move, man.
I want to say though, like, to what Nick said earlier, the like having their feud with Roxanne and Jordan, it's interesting. You say you would rather have Roxanne take the first win there because it's like you're gonna have Jordan come in with her first her actual official NXT match as a WWE superstar and taking an L for her first match. You would actually be okay with that?
Yeah, honestly, I would be okay with that because then, I mean, okay, so especially if they're gonna do it in a series, I'm okay with Jordan Grace taking the L because then Roxanne's already established, right? And they could run off of where Roxanne is like, this is my house. I was one of the champions before, and this is what you got to look forward to. And then, and even if she doesn't pin them clean, they could do something to where they protect both of their statuses, but have Roxanne win. Have Roxanne like pull a cheap shot or something. You know what I mean? They could do something
like not a clean win.
Not a clean win. Right. But still have Roxanne win the first one. Right. And then just continue the feud, and then have Jordan Grace win the second one clean, and then after that, they'll be like, okay, this is the last one. They'll go all in on it, and then have Jordan Grace take the final one and just have her win the series.
Maybe that third match can kind of like culminate at Stand and Deliver Mania weekend, right? Like we got the time.
There you go.
Right, because I think they have another PLE right before Stand and Deliver. I forgot what the name of it was, but yeah, I agree with that actually. Just because like for me it's like I prefer like she take the first, what I mean, just because. But yeah, if it's gonna end up being like a dirty finish where Roxanne ends up foreign object or something, pull something out of her pocket, right? Then I'm okay with that. It doesn't really hurt Jordan for that matter. Kind of like I guess when she faced Julia for the first time.
Right, and even if if they have a dirty ending, let Jordan Grace hit her with her finisher after the match, right? Like as they're closing out the show, or if they're not the final match, the main event of the show, so let her hit her finisher on it and then cut to commercial or something like that, right? Just to give Jordan Grace a strong showing. Even though Roxanne won, Jordan Grace will still be protected.
For sure.
Her image will still be protected, and she'll look good in the end.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So so clearly we had a lot to talk about for NXT. And I do want to like touch on a little bit on the AEW here. So like Jay kind of like gave his little rundown, and clearly I'm not sure if you guys caught any of it. I caught glimpses of their Grand Slam event. It was a hot crowd nonetheless. So a quick rundown on that part of it. They did have that opening match with Ospreay and Omega against I believe Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. Interesting enough, Kyle Fletcher is a native, I believe, in Australia, and he came in as like a hot heel, with them taking the L. So we had Ospreay Omega take that. Mercedes Moné retains her TBS title against Harley Cameron. The Death Riders winning the match against Cope and Jay White. Okada retaining his Continental title against Buddy Matthews. And then we got a new champion, Tony Storm, defeating Mariah May. So the pay-per-view, their show specifically, Grand Slam. I did mention earlier, it was supposed to be a stadium show, but they got transitioned to a smaller venue. Nonetheless, I don't want to take that away from AEW. I think for the most part, it kind of makes me feel like, back then, I remember WWE was supposed to do a show in Vegas, I think at Allegiant for Money in the Bank, and then they had to scale down the venue because I guess tickets weren't selling as much, and they went to a smaller venue. And I do recall Tony Khan taking some shots, at them, so it's kind of like, now it happened to you. Be a little bit more humble, you know what I mean? But this doesn't take away from the fact that the crowd was really hot for most of the matches here, and I personally thought, there's nothing more to expect with AEW but great action. Let's be honest. Like Jay was calling it out. You've never seen these guys, and you may be a casual or somebody just new to the product. Some of the things these guys do, it may be a spot fest, but you're gonna get drawn to the fact that these are just insane athletes doing the things that they do. It's wild, and to top it off, not top it off, but to kind of like start off the night with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay in the same match, as whether they were tag team partners or or if they were foes. It's like the guys right there are probably the best example of AEW's style of wrestling, or like some of the indie style. Crazy stuff, like you'll see a lot of innovative stuff for that matter. And the match for me though, guys, like I've kind of like started gravitating towards this specific wrestler, Harley Cameron. My gosh, like I didn't know much about her prior to this, but I'm starting to see, in my opinion, like an up and coming star just because of her development over the past few weeks with this specific feud with Mercedes Moné. I thought like some of her promos were like wow, this is kind of like drawing me back to AEW a little bit, because I'm again about like a little bit of the storytelling, and they kind of like set a good foundation towards this match, because she at first didn't seem to be like a prominent challenger or even like a threat for that matter against Mercedes Moné. She doesn't have like the credentials or like the resume to be put up against Mercedes Moné. That's Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her. She's one of the 4 horsewomen specifically that has made waves in women's pro wrestling. So I'm gonna give her that, But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, she was being challenged here. But Harley Cameron proved me otherwise. Like, she has done really great promos leading to this match. She's clearly, she's not like the most polished wrestler, but I see a lot of like things where she is clearly able to do, and she'll even eventually get there, right? But I think as a package here, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Harley Cameron. It's like she's done great things, and she had that home crowd back in her, and even afterwards, I saw like she did like a post match interview or promo for that matter, and you could just see like how genuinely invested she was, or like genuinely affected by this whole like match specifically, and how much it benefited her. So like to me that kind of stood out. I'm a fan of hers. Like I love her promos. Like, and she's also like musically talented as well. So like this whole thing that she had with Mercedes Moné, like to me like that made me a fan. Anything that stood out to you guys?
Wait, she's the one that's been singing, right?
Yes.
She's the
yeah.
Really?
And she's also a ventriloquist. She's like clearly,
the puppet.
Yeah, the puppet. I was like, wow, she can do a lot of different things here. I can appreciate that.
Dude, I was like, who is this? So the fact that you guys are that they're on your radar, I'm a man, they get on my radar through you guys too, man. So every time, man, I know I'm on the podcast, but here I'm at, like watching, like I'm getting inspired all at the same time. Like, dude, put a stamp on it and let's watch them. Let's get it.
Dude, it's funny because just to call this out, and like sorry to go off topic here, but I think that's what's great about our podcast. We're gonna bring people on that are you're a lifelong fan, whether you stepped away from it or for a little moment or not, or getting acclimated to the other promotions or just different matches here or different wrestlers. That's what's great. Like there's a little bit of diversity here. It's not like we're all coming in like as experts or knowledgeable people, right, of the industry. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to like get a grasp on like all these different like promotions, but at the same time, there is that foundation of like being a lifelong fan that you grew up with, what you knew. And it just brings us together to kind of talk about like some of the newer stuff too, right? So you want to, for me, I definitely want to dabble with a lot of the newer stuff as well, or outside of WWE for that matter.
Right, and that's the great thing too, right? Is that before it was mainly just WWE. They had these other promotions, Ring of Honor, and all this other stuff, but it was one of those things that like you got to be you're probably a really hardcore wrestling fan if you're watching all those other ones. Even New Japan was a pretty well-established brand. Even then, you were kind of a hardcore wrestling fan if you were watching New Japan. But now you have all these brands. You have TNA, who originally they were trying to block against WWE, but they fell into their role right now. So their role right now is, I want to say they're I don't want to say they're bigger than NXT, but you know what I mean? Like their role right now is basically they give us a really good show. A lot of guys go there. You know, if there's nothing for them in the WWE and the quality of their show has increased. They've gotten a lot better from when they first started and in the first couple of years and when they were going through this whole that whole issue where they didn't even know if they were going to be on TV anymore. They really fell into the role, and I like that that WWE is now collabing with them.
Yeah,
bro, because that brings more eyes to the product, so that makes us want to go watch it.
Yeah,
and. Like I said, I really don't watch AEW, but I do catch a lot of clips. I have watched one of Will Ospreay's match, and I'm not gonna lie, dude, that guy impressed me. He impressed me a lot. It was that one Daniel Bryan match he had. Oh, dude, that was amazing. That was an amazing match. So I mean, AEW still hasn't caught my interest yet, but I will say they do have talent that I'm definitely watching. I didn't get to watch the PLE yet for AEW, but the Will Ospreay match is definitely one I'm going to go back and watch. Mercedes Moné, I don't like her, but I am definitely
really you don't not even a little bit.
No,
I'm pulling your leg here. I'm pulling your leg here. I know you don't like her.
Nah, I'm a super hater.
No, but I agree though. I thought Monet, the Banks lady, the Banks character was on my radar, but Monet, I was like, okay, it seems like they're not going to put you against no one who is. So yeah, so that's how it's not that I want to brush it off, but it's just, you know, you don't make it to my radar because of the things I know of her. Like Monet, I really thought they wasn't going to give no one like a challenge for her, but so to hear that they did, you know, despite if we like her or not, I think I'm gonna go watch because now you got a challenge. Let's get it.
Like for me, it's like the name she's gone against prior to joining AEW is it's to me, like, I hate to say this, it's not as captivating for me to see these matchups that she has in AEW because let's be honest, like I know you don't like her, Nick, but I still have to give her flowers. She is definitely one of the women in pro wrestling that I would still consider like on the upper echelon. You know, like I'll throw her in the mix with clearly the 4 horsewomen. She's still there. You know, the Rhea Ripley's and all that shit. Her name is still relevant. You know, and it'll still bring eyes to the product because of what she's accomplished. But to me, is she really being pushed against like some of the competition he has in AEW? I will say this. I haven't seen anything yet that has really captivated me. There was that time where she had that feud with Britt Baker, which that kind of, it was underwhelming. You know, it's unfortunate because I thought I'm a fan of Britt Baker. Clearly, she's not the most polished ring wrestler as well. I felt like, you know, Mercedes had to carry that match in terms of like, you know, the athletic ability aspect of it. But Britt can promo. I think she's clearly has established her as like a top women's star in AEW specifically. And I thought that matchup was like, this is why I'm going to watch this. I want to watch this, you know, because now I see like an actual prominent adversary to Mercedes Moné, you know. So like at this point, like, you know, outside of Harley Cameron, you know, like I don't want to say like she's the top, like a top tier women's competitor in AEW, but it has got my attention. But I do want to see Mercedes against more top tier talent. And I hate to say it, like, the only other one out there is going to be Toni Storm. Like Mercedes,
right, yeah, I was just gonna say, all right, yeah. Do they have it? Do they got top tier talent though? That's the other part.
Yeah, right? like yeah. I guess you got Mariah May, but it's like she still doesn't like, you know, Mariah May to me, like, yeah, they put the belt on her, but it's still not like, it's like, oh, it's not like a, you know, like, it's not a draw for me. That's the best way I can put it. You know?
I'm not gonna deny Mercedes' contribution to the women's division. Yeah, like you said, 4 horsewomen, right, bro? Honestly, that was kind of the catalyst from them transferring over from the Divas division to actual women's division. You know what I mean? You know, and the like 4 horsewomen is when I actually started enjoying watching women's wrestling. It wasn't just slap fights anymore.
Yeah,
it wasn't. You know what I mean? The moves didn't look fake.
Yeah.
Like,
there was more time given to them, right? They could actually wrestle.
Exactly.
They weren't just like these filler segments at the end of the day.
Exactly. Right. It wasn't, bro. And this is coming from my wife, because my wife was a big wrestling fan too. She doesn't watch as much nowadays, but even she acknowledges that the women's wrestling is way better than it is before, because, and this is coming from her mouth, not mine. She said the women's matches were back then were bathroom-based matches.
Right.
So that's when you go to use the bathroom. That's when you go and make your food, or you're going to do something, right? So they were bathroom break matches.
Right.
And so the women's division has come a very, very long way.
Yes.
And and as far as Toni Storm goes, dude, I was a fan of her when she was in WWE. I thought they were going to do something with her. I was kind of sad to see her leave. But I'm glad she's thriving in AEW, and I'd love to see her come back to WWE, even if the roster is stacked.
Yeah, like Toni Storm. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a fan of hers, but I will give her all the praise because she's taken this opportunity in AEW not like most wrestlers have, and has truly thrived in AEW. The timeless persona is probably one of the better things on AEW television. Like the long-term storytelling between her and Mariah May was one of the better stories I'm not gonna lie, probably the best story. I'm just gonna say that. The best feud I've seen on AEW television, because the way it dragged out to be them starting off as friends, or kind of like Mariah being like the I guess like her understudy, and being there with Toni Storm, and then that turn, oh man, that was like a really good turn. When she won the Owen Hart Cup, and then man, she just kind of like took that heel turn and ran with it, and eventually got the belt from Toni. Toni comes back, and not as the timeless persona, but comes back as the Toni Storm we probably knew, like also being back in NXT or WWE. And it was like a big swerve. Like, wait a minute, like did she just like forget? But it's funny because you just tune in and it was engaging. Like it's almost like, what's going on here? It created so much intrigue for me. Like the mannerisms, and even like Mariah May's like reactions to like what happened with you. Like you were this person, and then now this, and then you flipped it on us and made us to believe like, okay, you gone crazy thinking like you just forget, you just forgot everything, right? And crazy enough, like it was her this whole time, the whole Toni Timeless persona at the end of the day was still there, and it came together. It came together at the end, and I thought it was a great. If this is the end of their feud, personally for me, it was a great way to end it. Like that was, to me, like a great performance on both of their parts. Probably the best feud I've seen on AEW television. And props to Toni Storm. I'll say this: I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan. I'm not gonna put her like on the top of my list of like women's wrestlers, but she has done the things that she needed to do to make herself relevant on AEW television, and or even women's wrestling in general. I love this Toni Timeless character, and for that point, I think at the end of the day, that's she needs to be on AEW television more. I don't think they got to keep the ball rolling with her. I'll just say that. But I would love to see her and Mercedes Moné at some point. Maybe not now, because they're both holding the respective women's titles in their division. And I don't know. Maybe they do like some sort of like, you know what? Let's go champ against champ. Hey, they do that. I'm glued. I would love to see that.
Up, right?
Yeah, because
you got already belted up.
Yeah, you got like Mercedes clearly a top heel in the women's division, and then Tony's over as a babyface. So hey, do it. Let's do it right there. Like I think capitalize when the moment is hot. You know what I mean? Like let's see that. Yeah. I would love to see that.
Yeah, book it. Book that.
But yeah, guys, I think if I know like most of you guys didn't like, or you guys didn't catch like most of the show, but I think the other thing I want to add on here is like the Death Riders match. Like I hate to like end it like this on the AEW, but like clearly AEW stands are gonna think I'm just a hater. I don't know what's happening with this Death Riders. The Death Riders. I don't know what's happening with them. Personally, for me, I love Cope. Cope, Edge, however you want to like refer to him. The guy's a legend. And he clearly like that whole crowd. Seeing Metalingus. Like those moments, like it just goes to show, like as pro wrestling fans, to see stuff like that happen, it's just awesome. You know what I mean? Very very much similar to like when Randy Orton came out and like that France crowd, like was singing his song. So like that was kind of like reminiscent parallel to what was going on for Cope here at Grand Slam. But man, I just think this whole Death Rider thing, it's not working for me. It's like I was so on board with Moxley for like the longest time being an AEW World Champion, probably the better AEW World Champion for that matter, like amongst the ones that have held that title. But I personally think it's ran its course too. Like I personally think this whole him being a AEW World Champion in this aspect right now is run its course. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I don't expect much on your end because probably not watching as much. But yeah, I think we need to see some sort of shift there because I've lost interest from the time. I guess when he's won that title, they put that title in a briefcase, and it just felt like it's not relevant. The women's world title has been more relevant, in my opinion, in AEW than this world title here. And not to say that it should be the other way around. I just feel like that title has taken such a backseat to everything else that's happening on AEW television. That's just my opinion.
So for me, I draw parallels to Moxley to Stone Cold Steve Austin. They kind of have the same kind of like attitude going on, right? Like really don't give a crap. Kind of hardcore going forward, you know what I mean? Like you move forward, don't look back, and you just whoop ass and take names while you're at it, you know what I mean? And of course they're different, but they're kind of the same.
That parallels to each other.
Right, they do. They have parallels, and for me, my problem with Moxley is I feel like he's stagnant. Every time I see him, I feel like he's the same person that he was.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
That's a good point.
And even Stone Cold Steve Austin at certain points, while it might be minor tweaks, he always found ways to reinvent himself for a little bit. Because when he first started, it was that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. Don't trust anybody, and slowly he just. While it was minor tweaks, it was reinventing because the what chant didn't come out until like well into his career. And I just feel like Moxley is he's just being stagnant and he's not trying to reinvent himself, which is part of the reason I don't really watch AEW is because like I said, it's things like that kind of don't draw me in. There's certain things that I want to see. Like I said, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega's great. They have stars that catch my attention, but not enough to draw me in to make me want to watch it.
Right.
Like their story, and follow their storyline.
Like, yeah. Do you have anything else to chime in on this, Kazo?
No, man. Like they'll get on my radar though, those guys.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like to your point, yeah. It's weird because I wasn't even looking for the Toni Storm or Mariah May. They ended up on my radar,
right?
And to follow theirs, and I don't know the men's like too much on the championship side, but I can tell you that match that went on with Mariah and the leader. Oh man. So yeah, hopefully these guys do catch my radar because I am paying attention more now. Like I'm on, like so. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, like I think to kind of wrap it up on this part, like the parallel aspect of Moxley and Stone Cold. I guess we could save this for another time, but I'll make a quick note on here. I think what lost me for Moxley and like comparing it to Stone Cold is the crowd engagement. there was such a huge thing with Moxley coming out to Wild Thing, the theme song, Wild Thing, right? Whenever you hear that song hit and he makes his rounds or his way through the crowd, there was something about that just like, man, like Mox is here. He's about to do some damage, like reckless abandonment type of thing. Like I'm on board. I love that character. I like what he was doing with that, right? But at the same time, when the transition to this whole Death Rider thing, I felt like a lot of that aura was kind of taken away because he's got this new theme music. His look is different. Maybe, I don't know if it was more of like such a drastic change in his, overall presentation that really took away from me. But at the same time, like, what Nick said about like Stone Cold with his, those chants, and just, how Stone Cold presented himself over the years, there was constant engagement with his character. And I felt like the crowd, whether you were cheering or I think there were moments when he was a heel, you still kind of cheer for him because it's like it's Stone Cold, like what he brings and he's got you. Like there's something about him that already got you engaged. So for Moxley, I personally hate to say that, like, he lost a little bit of that engagement specifically with such a drastic persona change, and it doesn't even feel like he's buying into this. Like he doesn't feel fully invested in this character. And that's where it's getting me, because you can really tell by some of this talent when they have to do a new gimmick or something that they're not used to, it's out of their element. It really shows on screen. And it also transpires into the way the crowd reacts to you. So at the end of the day, I don't know how long this is going to carry out, but for me, it did create intrigue from the get-go, but what has happened since then, I'm not into it anymore. Like I hate to say it, because I just felt like he was built up to be one of the top stars in the company. Not to say he's not. It's just more of like the character being portrayed right now isn't doing much for me, and I don't think it's really captivating. Like this feud with Cole, well, like leading to their match and the next pay-per-view that they're gonna have. So yeah, I just would like to see a little bit more, tweaks to his character, whether it's going to be with Death Riders or he goes back to being Moxley that we knew like going into AEW. I don't know what it is, but it's hard to say right now. All I can say is like, I'm probably there just to see Tony Storm's, like character at this point. But hey, that's pretty much the recap on, this past weekend's, respective shows for WWE, NXT, and AEW. So outside of that, gentlemen, we'll reconvene for another one.
All right.
We out.
Yeah.